Hello there and welcome to Black Jaguar Gaming. We're going to take a look at how to start a Space Marine army for 10th edition. The Space Marine range has a substantial amount of models to collect. There's also a large amount of value sets which are bundled models together which are really good. So we'll take a look at how to start the journey, exactly what you need, how to get the best out of the hobby. So where to begin? Well, really, if you want to play the game, you're best off either picking up the Codex or getting an online code to use the app where you can access the rules for the Space Marines, because you want to build an army around what you can actually use, play with. Now, if you just want to do it for the hobby side of things, then you can pick up whatever you want. Now, there are other less legitimate sources where you can get the rules. You'll probably find some info about that in the comments somewhere that someone will mention. You probably do want the core rules as well, which once again you can get from Games Workshop or a third-party retailer. It is quite a pricey book, usually coming in around £35, and it is a big chunky book as well. There's also on top of this the community website, which has downloads for the army points, so whatever is in the codex is not up to date. There'll be an FAQ about some things in the codex. There'll be a balanced data slate, which could change some of the rules in the codex, such as the data sheets. And you've also got the core rules FAQ on the website as well. They tend to update these every 3 to 4 months. Across the hobby items, if you're going to play the game, if you're going to collect the models, you probably do want to paint them. Grey models aren't the best, but take your time, get the most out of it, and do it at your own speed. So straight off the bat, you're going to need a hobby craft knife. This is essential for removing model lines from models. You can also use this to remove the models from the sprues, or you can pick up a set of snippers to clip them off. You want plastic glue for your plastic models. This acts kind of like a cement where it melts the plastic together to give you a really solid join. Or if it's a resin model, you want to look at super glue. Or you paint, you want to make sure you prime your models with undercoat. You can get this either in can, or there are some paint on options as well. And you definitely want to get some paint to paint all the bloody things. You can either get your normal paint, or you can get speed paint or contrast paint to speed things along. And obviously, you're going to need paintbrushes as well. And if you're going to play the game, make sure you pick up a dice and tape measure. So taking a look at the value kits, there's a fair few different combat patrols that you can pick up for Space Marines. Now you have the standard Space Marines ones, and then all the supplements have their own version. Most of them can be used for Codex Space Marines because they just have the core units, but a couple of them, like the Blood Angels ones, they do come with like the Sanguinary Guard, which you can only use with your Blood Angels army. Now you can use the supplementary units with Codex Space Marines. But if you do want to venture into some of the characters in Codex Space Marines, you wouldn't be able to use any of these units. Now there's a core game starter set. There's 3 different versions you can get. And they come with models from 2 different ranges, one being the Space Marines and currently Tyranids. And they come in 3 different sizes, so you've got a couple of options to go with. Now the core set starts and it has exactly the same models in. And each time you go up in value, you get more models and more little bits. So you get some of the rules, maybe some data sheets, which are a bit out of date, a little bit of terrain, and then you get your measuring sticks and your dice as well. But you do more importantly get more models. And if you don't want to collect the other side of the Tyranids, you can also sell them on eBay. Now it's important to note that the rules don't always fully align with the core rules. So unless you're getting the Ultimate Start set where you get the core rule book with it, you probably want to ignore these rules and pick up the core rule book or access the rules online. When it comes to your army composition for what you want to get, all armies must have a warlord, and this requires at least 1 HQ unit. So this is the likes of your captain, your lieutenants, your chaplains. These tend to be the single model units that you can buy that are usually £20 or above. Then you've got your battle line units. These are your intercessor types. These are your standard troops that are meant to be infantry. They're meant to be the backbone of the army. So you'd have intercessors, assault intercessors, and heavy intercessors for 10th edition. They're not required to play the game because you can choose whichever unit you want, but you do get some added perks in some of the missions for having battle line units. Then you have elites, which covers pretty much everything else in 10th edition. In previous editions, this might have been split between elites, heavy support, fast attack, and the likes of those. But in 10th edition, it just comes under elites. So this will range from like your eliminators to terminators. You also have vehicles. Things like your dreadnoughts, everything else will come under elites. And then you have your dedicated transports, which would be like your Rhino and your Impulsor. And then we do have flyers, but they are not the most strongest in 10th edition. And they seem to be trying to write them in a way where you aren't going to take them. They want to sell the models, but they can't balance them on the tabletop, so they don't really want you to use them. What's the best units to start with? So the Combat Pro is a good way to go. The best one, probably if you want to go Codex Space Marines, is the Dark Angels one. This probably gives you the most value for the models you're getting and the kits in comparison to some of the others. You do have the Space Wolves one, which probably gets you a fair bit of value in it, monetary-wise, but power-wise, you do just have the Invicta Warsuit in there. You have your Intercessors, your Reavers, and then a Lieutenant, which is very Space Wolfy. So unless you go in Space Wolves, you might not get the most out of it. Looking at the Dark Angels one, you get the Gravis Captain, which is a half-decent data sheet, but not used too much in the meta right now. You get 3 Blade Guard Veterans, which are becoming more and more popular. 5 Hellblasters, which have been fantastic through the entire edition. And then you get your Battle Line 10-man Intercessors, which you can take as 2 separate 5-man units. You get quite a lot of models there, and it's a decent start to an army. If you can source the older combat patrols, they do have a lot more models in them, and generally for a little bit less, so you get much more value out of them. And the best one of the previous ones probably is the old Dark Angels one, because that comes with a Redemptor Dreadnought. And then I would always advise like a Gladiator tank is one of the Primaris tanks. Now this kit's really good because they've been quite good for the last 2 editions. Not the most popular at times, but the date sheets have been good. But what's really good about it is that you can build it as any 3 of the Gladiators. It's very easy to swap. It's very easy to magnetize, and the main turret pops on and off, so it's easy to change the weapons. And you can take it as an upholster as well, because the back part of it you can just lift up, and it is an upholster. So you're basically getting 4 models in one unit, so it gives you a lot of flexibility when you're starting off about what you want to take. Then you want to add a little bit of synergy. 10th edition is all about having synergy between your units, because your leaders are going to be joining units to make them better. You probably want to go and get some Eradicators to go with your Gravis Captain. He gives them that ability to reduce a stratagem by 1 CP, and he's quite good in combat. He can either be used there to make them more efficient at shooting and be a counter-punching threat if anything comes in close, or you could possibly go and get Aggressors instead and use it as more of a melee-orientated unit. It'd be quite good to pick up the Assault Intercessor kit, because you can turn this into 3 lieutenant models, and you easily do this by equipping them with the plasma pistols from the box set, and then you can give them a power sword or a power fist. Now, if you want to pick up a lieutenant, they're going to come in about £22. I think that's about $25. Whereas this kit's going to be £50 for 10 models. So you're getting 3 lieutenants, which should be towards the £70 mark, and you're getting it for the 50. And then on top of that, you do have a 5-man assault unit to go with it. And you do have 2 spare models. So you actually have the option there of using these 2 spare models in something else. You might be able to create an extra 2 Hellblasters from the other kit. Or you can turn these into 2 different sergeants where you've got 2 different sets of war gear on them. So you might have a chainsaw on one, power fist on another. And then in your normal 5-man unit, you might have one of those that has a power sword. So it gives you options of swapping out sergeants. You want a bit of additional anti-tank as well, so Dreadnought is a good option. The Redemptor Dreadnought's a really good multi-functioning unit where it's good in combat, it's got a decent amount of shooting, and it's really tough. Or you got the Ballistas, which is a really popular unit at the moment, which is very good at taking down hard-to-kill units. If you want to go a bit more hardcore and you're not looking at value from your units and you want to jump up right in and be competitive, and you want to be really looking at what the current meta is, because the value boxes aren't going to be worth your time as much, because a lot of the units in some of these, they're not ones that are going to be efficient in 10th edition. So you really want to probably head over to the Reddit Warhammer competitive subreddit and check out some of the winning lists there, or ask people within the community what is really popular at the moment, and then you just want to go out and purchase it. So if you're looking at April, May 2025 at the moment, before the next balance date slate, which is soon to come, the units that are mainly getting a lot of play in a generalized style. So if you're going to go for certain types of detachments, you might have slightly different units, but these are some of the core units that have been used across the range. You got your standard captain and lieutenants are popular because they can add great synergy and really buff some of the units that you're going to take. The Ballistas Dreadnought, like I said before, is a fantastic unit and has seen a lot of play, often taking 3 of them. And the Gladiator tanks, the anti-tank variants, you got like the Lancers being one of the popular ones. They're taken quite often at the moment, and the other 2 variants might see a little point of reduction, so you can easily switch to them. You want to really take access for the middle of the board, stop your opponent from taking objectives, doing actions, getting in there early, so your infiltration and incursor kit is quite important at the moment. Your infiltrators can infiltrate, so they can set up in no man's land, and they've got a 12-inch bubble where units can't deep strike, so they get to essentially stop your opponent from moving up quickly before the start of the game, especially if they've got their own infiltrating units. stops them getting on an objective and possibly having a mission where there's an action to be had, or just to hold it, so you're stopping them from scoring points. Then you got the Incursor kit, which has the Scout's pre-game movement, so it gives you a little bit more flexibility about what you want to do with it. And it's the same kit as well, so you can build a 5-man unit of each, and it gives you a little bit more flexibility. 10th edition's being, especially for Space Marines, having these action monkey units that can go in and do your actions, score your missions, and basically help you win the game without doing too much damage. These are your scouts and your jump pack intercessors. They've got a couple of pre-game movements. Your jump pack intercessors can deep strike, your scouts can scout and then infiltrate, and then your jump pack units are really fast to move across the board as well. Looking at some of the characters, Rebuta, Gilliman, and Calgar for Ultramarines, or they're going to be used in any of the detachments. They're really popular at the moment because Rebuta gives you that second use of the army rule, and Calgar is just a very efficiently pointed unit that's great in melee, got great buffs, really durable. And then looking at these people who are tending to company Calgar with Company of Heroes, but they've gone up a little bit in price. They make him a really durable unit, or you can switch them out for the Blade Guard veterans, which are cheaper and give you more of a punch in combat. They're also quite durable as well with their storm shields. And then you got the Storm Speeder, which is popping up now and then. 3 different variants of it, and again, it's in the same kit, and it's quite easy to swap out, so it gives you a lot of flexibility if the meta changes, or you just want to try something different. The meta is going to change often, so sometimes it's hard to go with the meta, especially with your hobby lag. So sometimes think a little bit ahead about how you think the game's going to change and what you can bring to the table, and go and focus on those units. Like the video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel to see all future content. Take it easy, I'll see you next time.